Welcome to Envision Broadcasting, the station designed to encourage, equip, and empower you for growth and success presents The Momentum Shift. A show where we get inspired, we get moving, and we get results. Every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern with your host, Eric Collier. He's the mayor of motivation and mental quicksand expert, bringing you inspiring interviews and empowering stories that will help to improve lives. If you're ready to start making the impossible possible, then you've joined the right show, because the momentum shift is what you've been looking for.
Thinking about your value. Today, I would never do something like that.
Yeah.
But as a result of I'm not even quite sure I understood the magnitude of how God wanted to use me, that I was his instrument at that age.
Yeah.
There was a lot I had to learn, and I ran into a mentor of mine. He was so proud of the work that I was doing, because I was still doing.
Yeah.
And he wanted me to come speak at his school, and I burst out into tears, which is a great sign.
Are you feeling stuck, dreaming of a life beyond your current boundaries? I'm Eric Collier, and I've been where you are. Now, as an international speaker, 3-time international best-selling co-author, veteran, and the host of the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show, I've dedicated my life to helping people just like yourself embark on a transformative journey to unlocking your inner greatness. With my wealth of experience and a proven track record, I guide individuals to break through barriers and create life-changing momentum shifts. Having been featured in news and magazine articles, on television shows, and spoken on stages like the National Press Club and Columbia University, my message has inspired people worldwide to turn the impossible into possible. On my show, the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show, I'm committed to sparking a movement that empowers others to shift momentum in their lives, offering motivational insights, interviews, and thought-provoking discussions. If you are ready to redefine what's possible and unlock your potential, then subscribe to my mailing list for exclusive content and updates. Join a community of motivated individuals just like yourself on the path to greatness. Subscribe now and transform your life at CericCollier.com. Hello and welcome to the Momentum Shift, a show designed to get you inspired, get you moving so you can get results. Why? Because I want you to make the impossible possible for you. And you know, each week I've got a guest here that is bringing an inspiring message, not only to get you moving, but to share with you just how they address momentum shifts, how they help other people do the same, and how it's changed their lives. So with me today, I got a guest that I'm really, really excited about. I'm always excited about my guests, but this one right here, man, she's special. She's awesome. I love listening to her. I got a chance to hear her speech. I've listened to her YouTube, and I'm telling you, I've been really anxious to get this one going. So let me get it started. I'm sorry. Hold on. So I have with me today Linnita Hosten. She's an award-winning public speaking coach. She's an executive communication trainer, and she's a philanthropist. Linnita Hosten coaches aspiring and current C-suite leaders to overcome the fear of public speaking. She started as a youth speaker, and I love how the first video I saw of you was you talking to a group of young ladies. And so let me get you introduced here. I'm sorry. So welcome, please, Linnita Hosten. I'm sorry.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the warm welcome.
I'm sitting here, man. I'm like, I get a chance to talk to you. I can't wait. I'm so excited about talking to you because I love what you do and how you do it and how you connect with the audience. So thank you for joining me.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So, you know, every week we're talking about momentum shifts. This show is it was created simply because I'm somebody who was stuck in my own mental quicksand, and it took somebody to wake me up to say, hey, man, you got what it takes to be able to get moving, to get things changed for yourself. And even though it took a while longer, here I am. So I'm living in what I believed in at once was impossible. So I want to share that with everybody and just bring people on like you who've done the same for themselves and who've helped other people. So real quick, we're going to start it off with the question I love to ask. What does momentum shifting mean to you, and how have you used it to change your life?
Yeah, a momentum shift is a It's a decision that you make up in your mind that you're going to accelerate on the path that whatever you decide. So the decision is the shifting. I always say an indecision, choosing to not make a decision, that's your decision. So to me, a momentum shift is deciding, like, I'm going to accelerate the path that I've said I wanted to do.
Yeah, I like that. I like it. So talk to me about, I just pick a moment that I like about your story. You said you actually were doing what you thought was your dream job, and you had to ask yourself that question, is this really?
Oh my goodness. That's a hard question. I'm glad I had to ask myself that at 16 in the newsroom. I wanted to be a journalist. That was my dream. But when I got a chance to intern in a TV station, I could quickly see that that was not the dream I had in mind. And it's a very eye-opening experience when you have a reality check for something that you fantasized over. I fantasized over what I thought it would be like to be in a newsroom. And while there were some of my ideal of a fantasies were true, most of them were not.
Gotcha.
And so accepting when your reality doesn't line up with what you may have expected definitely was a hard pill to swallow at 16. But I'm glad I swallowed it sooner than later without having to make any further investments in that and going in that path.
Right. So you think what it took to get you into that newsroom has helped you tremendously get to where you are right now?
Oh, absolutely. Because those skill sets, they certainly transfer. Journalists speak well. They also have to write well. There's this aura of presentation, a very polished exterior, very fluid in expression and thought. They have to research well. So yeah, I'm actually using all of those skills today on my podcast, when I go out and travel to speak, writing curriculums. So yeah, I still have, there's some meaning behind some of those things.
So when you look at where you are right now, let's talk about, so you come out of the newsroom, and since in the newsroom, you've been speaking, what, about 10 years, 12?
Yes, 10 years as of October last month. Yeah.
And so where you are right now, what are some things to share with the audience real quick, what you've accomplished over that 10-year time frame? I know you mentioned speaking to audiences, but let's go into a little bit more, because here's what I like about you. Here's when I first saw the video of you. You were talking to a group of students and you said something about your value. You had this statement that you made about your value, my value, and if you don't like it, then I'm not worried about it. I know that wasn't it, but can you share that with them and just talk to them how you use that?
You went into the archive. Yes, when I graduated college, after I did that internship, I studied communications. I got hired to do a college preparation campaign awareness across the state of Maryland. That sent me into every middle school in the state of Maryland to do workshops and presentations, keynotes, back to school nights, graduation ceremonies. I was the speaker for those things, promoting college awareness. And in doing so, that kind of gave me a platform. People would ask me, hey, can you come to our school? Can you do our Girls' Day Out? Can you come to our honor roll assembly? And so I was speaking for the first 6 years of the 10 for free.
Okay.
And so that's where I got my practice and my reps in. And one of the videos that you're highlighting was a girls' conference at Morgan State University. We were talking about the value that we bring to not only romantic relationships, but friendships too. And knowing the value. I don't remember the words verbatim, but I remember the video clip that you're referring to. But it's so important to impress upon our kids that they're valuable, even if they feel like they have not obtained what they deem is success. So just reminding them of that so they can walk in that, your posture, how you present yourself and speak about your abilities is going to be different when you already see yourself as valuable.
Yeah. And I tell everybody, go to her YouTube channel, Linnita Hosten at YouTube. I know I'm probably saying it wrong, but it's on YouTube. And check her out. You said Morgan State University?
Yep.
Yeah, check it out. It actually starts off with that saying. I love it because it being a father of two girls, two young ladies, young women, that's important that you understand your value. So when you talk to me about how value can keep us stuck and in need of a momentum shift.
Oh my goodness. The reason why I spent 6 years doing something that could generate money, doing it for free, is
Right.
because I undervalued the value that I could bring to organizations. To me, it was
Really.
just something that I could do, something that I could share with the world, something
Uh,
that it was an honor for people to ask, but nothing clicked in my mind that, wait a minute, this might be something, the Bible says that your gift will make room for you. That room by way is not always money, but in some cases it is.
yeah.
And if you are naturally, innately skilled at something, there's an opportunity to monetize it across any industry. And so when it came time to put a price tag on my value, I remember I was at a school, I had just finished a keynote, and a woman came up to me and she asked, "How much do you cost? Like, I would love to bring you to our organization." And I didn't have a fee.
Okay.
And when I did attach a fee to what I was offering, it was $500. When I started
Mhm.
meeting people in the space of professional speaking and I told them my rates, they were underwhelmed.
Right. Wow.
And they were saying, "Do you not see yourself as valuable? Like,
Mhm.
when I look at you, I see way more than $500. What is it that you see?"
Yeah.
And so I feel like when you talk about how does not knowing your value will get you stuck, there's a different kind of courage and a different kind of self, like, and it's not just confidence, it's confidence in your ability to competently
Okay.
perform something that you say you can do.
Right.
So um when you have when you finally accept that you have that level of competence and attach a price tag to it, you really do have to know that you're valuable.
Yeah.
So right now my fees start at 10,000.
That's what I'm
2 years
talking about.
ago, I would not have felt comfortable saying that out loud.
Right. So
But
from 500 to 10,000. I love it.
yep.
I love it. Yeah. I'm sitting here just like, woo, that's what I'm talking. Because I saw the videos and I'm thinking, she is bad. I'm like, man, she's killing it. Excellence and your value. And I'm loving it. And then what is it? You have 4Ds on one of them. You talked about, what was it? Delete.
Uh,
You're talking about time
delete. Oh,
management.
you was really going through. Yeah, we have the 4 Ds. Well, I would say throw some Ds on it when you feel overwhelmed with your responsibilities and tasks.
Yeah.
D could be delete, like get rid of it. It's not
Yeah.
necessary. Another D is delay it. It's necessary, but you don't have to do it right now.
Yeah.
You can also delegate it,
Yeah.
which is maybe assign it to someone else.
Yeah.
And the fourth D is delete,
What was it?
delay,
Delete, delay,
uh,
um, delegated, defer.
defer. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much for browsing the content and then it resonating enough that you actually remember.
Yeah, I think, like you said, it's just what you speak about. Like I said, just sitting there listening to you, it resonates with so many people when you hear the testimonials and the one lady said she looks so young, but she's so powerful. and, and that takes me back because we met in person over at the National Press Club,
Yes, we
and
do.
in your speech you talked about how your body language
Yeah.
can control the room as soon as you enter it.
Yep.
So share with me a little bit about that and that concept and how that's changed your life as well. Pretty much, I'm sure it's helped with your value, right?
Oh, absolutely. You know, when I was younger in 8th grade, my mom, on the first day of school, she made me wear a white pantsuit.
Mm,
And on that day of school, she said, and no one was dressing up, by the way. This was a
right.
public school. I want to make that clear.
All right.
People were wearing Nikes and Dunks and sweatpants, and I had on a white pantsuit.
Don't
And
get dirty.
she said, I want you to stand out. I want you to feel comfortable not being like everyone else. I was
Mm,
so grudgingly getting on the school bus. But what
right.
I noticed that day is that I sat differently. I was more conscientious about my body.
Yeah.
And I stuck out like a sore thumb. All of the teachers learned my name on the first day.
Yeah.
And that's something that has stuck with me about not just what you're wearing, but what your body is physically doing when you're in a physical space.
Yeah.
A lot of us, we're using our voice every day. We're using it in the workplace. We're using it to communicate with our families. We're using it if you run a business. If you run a nonprofit, you're using your voice. And 55% of what we communicate is nonverbal. So even
Mhm.
if your words are the most passionate, the most gentle, the most intentionally warm serving, if your body does not align with that, you're confusing your listener.
Yeah.
And so just teaching people to be cognizant about their nonverbal communication, which essentially are your eyes, your posture, what your hands are doing, your arms are doing. If you notice today, I'm talking to you on the podcast, I'm kind of leaning forward, but my chair is back here.
Yeah.
So that's a different feeling from me talking with you like this than talking to you like this. So those small nuances, they affect how people perceive what we're communicating. And I never want our bodies to be a barrier for our messaging.
Because I'm somebody who believes that the largest gap an individual will face is the gap that stands between where they are now and what they could become. So the question becomes, are you willing to climb? The greatest trick the mind will ever pull is convincing you that your greatness does not exist. Mama used to say, she said, Eric, what you do in the dark will come out in the light. And she means that you reap what you sow. You get what you put in. And so you got to put the work in. Why? Because you're going to step your game up and tap into that untapped potential of yours and become the greatest person that you can possibly become. I woke up, I was about to lose everything. And so my wife was about to leave me, and that meant my 3 children were going to be gone, which really hurt me because I would fall short on a promise to my kids where I told them that I was their father. Nobody would ever be in the house taking care of them. Nobody would be responsible for them. They never had to worry about calling anybody daddy but me. Momentum shift. When you get stuck, you got to find a way to get going. And that is all about elevating your performance. You have to realize that high-level results are not products of low-level effort. So you got to step your game up. So you get stuck, you got to get yourself moving. And when you're down in the dumps, you're the only one that's going to be there. So you got to be your own hype man. What happens is when you don't realize that you have all that you ever need to create the life that you want to live, you're missing out. You're standing at the base of that mountain thinking and hoping somebody's going to save you when all you got to do is take action. Theodore Roosevelt said, he said that the credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena with their face marred in dust with sweat and blood. You got to get into the arena, claim your moment, take the opportunity to take your shot. Then when you're in that arena, think about this. I got to step my game up.
Eric's message was extremely powerful.
The power of overcoming is not just connected to you. You're rising because the people behind you are counting on you. Thank you. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah. And that's something I mentor high school students as well. And that's something we talk about all the time. When you walk in the room, they're looking at you already. And what my dad always said, you never get a chance to make a first impression, right?
Yes.
Or second chance to make a first impression.
Yes.
And so, when you walk into the room, so that's what I was really caught up with when you mentioned that moment. Was it your grandmother, your mom?
Yeah,
your
my
grandmother.
grandmother.
Yeah, and you're in the hospital, and how you changed the dynamic with the way the doctor was speaking to your grandmother. And I love it, man. I love that. So what is it that I heard you talk about? You love the mind, and I heard you love helping people communicate. What is it that really touches your heart when it comes to that?
Yeah, I feel like your mind will literally do, not I feel like, I know based off of what I've studied and learned, the mind will do exactly what you tell it.
Yeah.
So you talk about the mental quicksand and having those recurring thoughts and getting out of the cycle of those bad thoughts and stinking thinking.
Right.
And a lot of that has to do with what you're feeding your mind. And there's subtle things like the music that we listen to. And you'd be surprised what is so subconscious. It could be the music is set like the 808 and the instruments. Maybe they put you in a mood, you feel good, but the words, subconsciously, your mind is absorbing that.
Yeah, I'm laughing. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm laughing because there was a time I get mad. I had to put on my Tupac. I had to put on my.
Yes.
Had to take me there.
Exactly. It's so interesting. The mood that we feel, we naturally want to use music to feed that. So if you're going through a breakup or a really bad situation, then your music resonates like that. It's like you want to, I don't know the psychology behind it, but people want to, maybe it's comforting to hear
Right.
it. But that's actually we should be doing the reverse. If you're going through a breakup, you feel down, you feel discouraged, you're losing your self-value, we should be listening to things that are uplifting, that are talking about the value that we do bring and how we can make a change. And if you are feeling aggressive and angry, then you might want to put, your favorite rapper. That's not the time, okay? Because it starts to seed into your mind. Yes. So it's actually doing the opposite of how you feel. Teaching about that, the concept of the mind is like a sponge. Literally, whatever you place it inside of, it absorbs.
Yeah.
So a lot of what I've watched your video as well, and you talk about like the shift that you had to make that changed your life. It happened in your mind. Nothing externally happened. Nothing changed but this.
Right. Yeah.
So it's so powerful. So I love teaching about it because I feel like if you can really take hold of that, be conscious about what your mind is absorbing, you would be a different person.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I'm loving it. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Everything starts here. Starts and ends right there in that mind. I like to say what you tell yourself, you sell yourself. And I don't know. I was buying a lot of I wasn't gonna be, and it couldn't happen. Man. So you've been around. Talk to me. What we're talking to students for years. Do you have like a story of one individual that really just boom, just made a change and just you blossomed and they've come back and go, hey, thank you, or that you've been around and maybe you mentor them?
Plenty.
Yeah. I can imagine there's quite a few.
I'll give you one. I'm really active at my church. My former church, we host this event annually, and we go to the women's shelter, pick them up, and then pamper them for the day. Well, one of the women who came was a 19-year-old young lady who was without anything. Family, food, shelter. You couldn't tell by looking at her. She was dressed to the nines, lipstick, edges laid.
Yeah.
But we learned that she was literally living in a shelter. We don't even know how she got all of those things. She didn't have a job. And so we adopted her. Fast forward, she ended up being pregnant and she didn't know. So she got all the way up until like maybe about maybe the second trimester, and then it was obvious to all of us that she was pregnant.
Right.
So fast forward, she was able to overcome those situations, become a mom, get a job. She got her own place, and she calls me all the time. Now, I'll be honest, this was a burden. This was not a feel good.
Right.
In the moment, it was not a feel good thing.
Right.
It was
because you had to fix all this up in here. And
it was a lot of this,
right?
A lot of this.
Yeah.
It was a lot of time.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I don't know if you've ever lended your time and heart to someone and you felt like you regretted it almost.
Yeah.
You have like helper's remorse is what I call it.
Right. Like they're not gonna get it. I'll tell you how I address it now, but go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and yeah, today I'm just amazed at, even she speaks differently, but again, there was a lot of turning this that I had to continually tell her, like, it is possible. You have to stick with it. She would call me and ask for money for her cell phone bill, and I'm say, listen, you're gonna make the best decisions when you feel the results of your decisions. Me giving you money is not going to change the situation. You need to know what it's like to go without a phone.
There we go.
So that now when you have to make a decision, you make the better one. And those are hard. That's hard to do, Eric.
It is, isn't it?
Repeatedly. And so
you want to help
like
so bad.
Yes, you want to help so bad. But to this day, she'll call me and she'll say, I just want to tell you I love you. And I don't want nothing. Oh, that's my favorite line from her.
I don't want nothing.
And so, yeah, she's one of many. That's probably more of the extreme. The other ones are a little bit more traditional where they just stay the course. They keep in touch. They're married, have kids.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been a blessing to be a part of their lives.
It reminds you that you're on the right path, right? Yeah. And the joy that it brings to you.
Yeah, for sure.
And speaking of joy, I just want to say congratulations, Auntie.
Yes, my niece was born this year. She's such a cutie pie.
She's on the road to be spoiled rotten.
Yes, basically. That's the translation.
That's cool. So in cases like that, we make momentum shifts initially for ourselves because we're not happy. And so now when you see like your niece coming into this world and you see the people that you're mentoring, is that why you do it now to make things better for them?
I'm looking at it from the reverse. I'm looking
Okay.
at the people who are parenting or deciding to birth the children. That's where I feel a really strong pull for.
Okay.
Someone asked me, what did I feel like was my life's purpose? And I told them bridging the gap between parents and their children, their communication style, fostering that relationship. That's where I really feel my purpose is.
Yeah.
And I always find a way to weed that in there every time I get a chance to speak, because those relationships are critical to a person's identity.
Yeah.
Like the relationships that you have with your parents is symbolic of how you build romantic relationships, how you parent for generations.
Yeah.
And so there's a domino effect. And
There is.
I feel a very strong, and I'm not a parent, I'm not a birth parent yet, but that thing, if anything don't grind me up inside and get me fired up, it's bridging that.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's my parents split when I was 4. And so that when you get older, that connection, and then you start working with blended families, and that connection really gets strained. And sometimes it breaks for a little while.
Yeah.
And so I think but here's something I learned. Oh, we've got Zoom over the last few years. And so we've been meeting as a family, and you learn that, like you said, the domino effect. Your parents don't learn how to connect. They don't know how to, nurture the right way. They don't really understand where they're going in life. And so a lot of that plays into it. So I guess that explains now why, I noticed in your videos, you touch on the students, you talk to the parent, and you talk to the teachers. So all those people that play a role in there, you make sure you hit everybody, and the community, of course.
For sure. Yep. Yeah. We all play a part. Coaches too.
Yeah.
Aunties, godparents, everybody.
I love it. I think so. I listened to you, and you talked about your mom and how she talked to you. She's like your first motivational coach.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Setting you up for success, right?
For sure. It was her expectation of that I would just always give my best. And to some degree, that's a form of perfectionism.
Yeah.
And that's also something I had to unlearn. The beauty in that, I would say, is that I'm always looking to grow. There's like a level of hunger that I have. Like, how could I have done this in a better way? What could make this better the next time without the guilt associated with it? Because that's where perfectionism comes in.
Got you.
I'm celebrating, man, that was great. I'm really proud of that.
Yeah.
Next go around, how can I really I'm in competition with myself.
I was going to ask you, you're a competitor. You got a little competition in you, I know.
I am. I'm competitive within myself because I don't really have a competitive bone when it comes to other things. I'm like, you can go ahead and win. Thing. But when it comes to myself, I'm like, how
you all on it, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
Love me some me.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's cool though. But you got to have that about you, right? You got to be your own hero. You got to be able to look to you. Because when it's dark, when you're going through the storm, ain't nobody on your side helping you out, right? Nobody's giving you anything. You got to work through it, right? What are some of the ways that you work through it when you're going through that storm? How do you remind yourself to keep going?
Oh man, I definitely have had to go through a storm or two. I think that, man, it was other people.
Okay.
I really want to just thank God for the people he placed in my life, because sometimes you don't even know you're in a storm.
Yeah.
You understand that you are not functioning at your best, but you haven't quite acknowledged that you actually going through. It's like you're in survival mode that didn't register.
Got you.
At least for me, it wasn't until I ran into an old mentor of mine, and I was in a state of depression. I had to move back home with my parents. I had accumulated so much debt due to a poor decision in a relationship that I was in. And I was making good money at the time. I was 24, 25.
Right.
Making $80,000, no kids.
Oh, wow.
It was, it didn't make sense that I could not pay my bills. That's how much debt I was in. It didn't make
Right.
sense.
Or did you have to
And
go out? Did you go out? We had to get the car and we had to get all the clothes. We had to be at the club every weekend. Did you do all those things?
for someone else,
Ah, okay.
not for myself.
Got you.
Yeah.
There, okay.
And that's where it was. And again, thinking about your value. Today, I would never do something like that.
Yeah.
But as a result of I'm not even quite sure I understood the magnitude of how God wanted to use me, that I was his instrument at that age.
Yeah.
There was a lot I had to learn, and I ran into a mentor of mine. He was so proud of the work that I was doing, because I was still doing.
Yeah.
And he wanted me to come speak at his school, and I burst out into tears, which is
Oh.
a great sign.
Uh-huh.
And you are probably in a valley or going through, when you have an inability to manage your emotions and sudden spurts of sadness.
Yeah.
I burst out into tears, and he was like, let's go get something to eat. And we went, and I just said, I'm not well. Like, I know I look well and I appear to be, but I am not well.
Yeah.
And he volunteered to coach me.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
we met twice a month. He gave me homework assignments, reflections, a lot of it related to my value, understanding my identity in Christ.
Okay.
We pray. And he was like, so what is it that you want to do? And I was like, I want to write a book. And we started writing our book. That's how my first book was produced. So, so my way of fighting my depression was through writing.
Yeah.
And I just needed I needed somebody to kickstart what was dormant.
Right.
And then once he got going, I started seeing those pages fill up. I ain't need no more. I was good to go. And then he was like, "Why?" And he started saying, like, it looks like you're making progress. I was like, I feel good.
Yeah.
When you are operating in how God wants to use you, it will fill you up. Your circumstances may not change. My circumstances didn't change. I was working 4 jobs at that time.
All right.
I was working the night shift. I was a cheerleading coach, a private tutor, and I also was an adjunct professor. 4 roles at the same time.
Wow.
But my mindset was, this is temporary.
There we go.
And I was writing that book on the night shift overnight when I worked at that job. And I just need a little bit. And slowly but surely, I start paying stuff off. And that credit score started jumping. And you couldn't tell me nothing after that. Then I was good to go.
But the right way to go.
Yeah, I would attribute those shifts happening because of the community that I've built.
Yeah. And that's big, to be able to accept coaching, right? Our ego gets in the way sometimes.
Yes. He was amazed. I think he was more amazed that I was so honest and just burst out into tears, because that was very vulnerable.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's how much of a dark space I was in. I couldn't even hold them back. It wasn't even, I couldn't mask it.
Yeah. Yeah. You was at that point. You that breaking point, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Man. So what's the name of the book?
At the time, my first book was called The College Strategy.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just helping students devise a plan so that they can get a return on their college degree as an investment. They should get an ROI. So walking them through. That was my first book.
That's important. I sat in an overview yesterday of a school, and they talked about the cost of college. Oh my goodness. Yeah. When you get out, there's a lot of debt. So at some point, you got to be able to make some money to be able to pay it back, get it off of your shoulders, because that's a weight that's going to follow you around. So when I heard you talk about how important it is that your student have experience. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about that and how you help them do that? So,
for sure.
Okay.
Before I shifted into the public speaking space, training other people, working with corporate organizations, I was working with high school and college students. Mm-hmm. And a lot of my speaking engagements were at universities and high schools. I have seen way too many students in my community. We are so excited to send them off to college. We throw them this huge party.
Right.
They have some scholarships. They go off to school. they have an amazing time. They
Right.
graduate and they're at home having a very hard time transitioning into a career path. Most cases, they are working in an underemployed role, meaning their skill set far exceeds what they're doing, but
Yeah.
there was not a career plan in place. So what I did, the first curriculum that I wrote was a career development program for high school students. So
Yeah.
we were getting them to think about their natural skills and abilities, researching careers around that, interviewing people who are doing that careers,
Yeah.
shadowing them to see if that's something that they wanted to do.
I like it.
Then researching the majors, looking at the course catalog. What classes would I actually be taking? How does
Yeah.
this translate to the real world? How much money does this actually get paid? Before them making a decision, they would walk into their university very well researched, very
Okay.
clear versus
Gotcha.
blindly studying something and not knowing how to bridge it at the end.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of what the bulk of my work was in
Yeah.
the prior years to the
Yeah.
work that I'm doing now.
I can tell you that's important because I was the first child in our family to even go to graduate and go to high school. I'm the middle child or go to college. And I showed up my first day. I remember that first day in business law class, and the teacher came in, he passed out this paper, and he started talking to us. 5 minutes in, he goes, I don't have anything else to say to y'all. I'll see y'all Wednesday. I'm like, oh, this is nice. No homework, nothing. We show up Wednesday, and he go, turn your homework in. I'm like, what homework? He goes, that syllabus that I gave you tells you everything you need to get done.
Yep.
So I was nowhere close to being prepared.
Yep.
So it's important to have that. So let's talk about where you are now. All right. Let's talk about elevating. You've elevated from the high school and the college level. You still help those individuals, but the C-suite, that's what I like. Right. So when you, I think I've heard a quote that says, a child can't be what a child can't see. And so seeing you in that executive coaching environment for me is awesome because I don't see a lot of that in my arena. So talk to me about how you ended up in the executive suite and you're coaching now of corporate executives.
Yeah, for sure. You know, my mom did a great job at this. She rose to the rankings in her employer fairly quickly. She was considered a senior leader fairly young. And she would always say, these are just people. There's
Okay.
nothing, they're not different from me. They would be at our house at Thanksgiving.
Really?
Like the people who like, you'll be like, oh my goodness, you're here. Like that sort of thing. To her, she would be like, hey, come on in, get a soda.
Are you feeling stuck, dreaming of a life beyond your current boundaries? I'm C. Eric Collier, and I've been where you are. Now, as an international speaker, 3-time international best-selling co-author, veteran, and the host of the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show, I've dedicated my life to helping people just like yourself embark on a transformative journey to unlocking your inner greatness. With my wealth of experience and a proven track record, I guide individuals to break through barriers and create life-changing momentum shifts. Having been featured in news and magazine articles, on television shows, and spoken on stages like the National Press Club and Columbia University, my message has inspired people worldwide to turn the impossible into possible. On my show, the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show, I'm committed to sparking a movement that empowers others to shift momentum in their lives, offering motivational insights, interviews, and thought-provoking discussions. If you are ready to redefine what's possible and unlock your potential, then subscribe to my mailing list for exclusive content and updates. Join a community of motivated individuals just like yourself on the path to greatness. Subscribe now and transform your life at CEricCollier.com. Yeah.
And it made me have a different perspective for people in leadership. I
Gotcha.
think it's really easy to see someone who's in a senior role, executive role, see them as being almost untouchable. We see them as being elitist to some degree.
Right.
We assume that they have a super set of skills.
Yeah.
And you just never know a person's story, how they matriculated to that role. And I never assume that because they are there, their skill sets have also arrived there as well.
Yeah.
And I wasn't afraid to target them.
Yeah.
And so, just like you and I, there are some areas of opportunity.
Yeah.
And the more you rise in your workplace or leadership role or business, the less responsibilities you typically have to do front facing. So the skill sets that you have that may not be as polished, you hire someone else to do.
Yeah.
That doesn't make you ineligible for the role. And so to me, that was an open door.
Yeah.
So yeah, you might be delegating this task. You might even be putting it off or avoiding it. What if you didn't have to because you felt competent enough to do it? That's where I come in.
Got you. Yeah, I like it. I like it. But you hit the nail right on the head, because in some of the leadership classes we deal with, you have people coming in and they believe that you're a leader because you have that position, but it's your ability to motivate and inspire and get the job done is what it is. So how do you help them address that aspect of it and say, hey, look, no, it's not you being in the position. This is how you motivate and inspire your audience.
For sure. We start everything with the mind.
Yeah.
I'm coming and I'm unrooting all the stuff. I'm just little show. People see me, Eric, and I will say this, they assume that it's going to be a nice, sweet, easy little presentation because this little cute little young lady,
Right.
They are amazed that I come in there going deep.
Right.
Because
she hurt my feelings.
It is really those roots of our identity that are going to give us the freedom to kind of operate the way we should be in leadership. And so I'm coming into, okay, what is it that you see in yourself? I'm asking questions like, tell me about how you matriculated to this role, why it matters to you, what's the goal, what are your opportunities for improvement, what do you see, what are your blindsiders, why does this skill matter to you? And then like, you gotta ask a lot of questions. Because I want to generate a lot of self-awareness.
I gotta take the honest assessment now. Ooh.
Yeah. And then we start, sometimes what comes up are childhood traumas, sometimes some insecurities that, to be honest, were started to be addressed by achievement. So because I felt insecure in this, I'm gonna just use my energy to do this really well. Right. And we want to unroot that. We want to unroot that. So
kind of this distraction techniques, right? Right. Yeah. I'm gonna distract you from seeing what I don't do well and come over here and do this so that you don't remind me I need to do this over here. Kind of that.
Yeah, for sure.
I love it, man. That's awesome. So when you look at it, when you go, so what are some of the companies you've worked with?
Yes. So I'll name two. The National Institute of Health, which is a government agency. They're senior leaders and they're doctors. They had titles that I could not pronounce.
Right.
And they were kind of stoic, actually. Very short answered.
Yeah.
The thing about this is sometimes if you're not using the skill every day, you don't see it as valuable. What I have to come and do is actually teach them why. Like, this is actually important because there are other areas of your life where this skill set is being used and you could be underutilizing it. Versus something that's easy to understand, like understanding epidemia and pandemics. Like, there's a clear connection between why that would matter to a science professional in a senior role. But when I come in talking about a power skill like public speaking, they're like, well, I'm not going to be in front of people. That's their immediate perception. Right. I don't know if this is necessary. So NIH is one, the Department of Human Services. These are government agencies and their senior leadership teams. Okay. And they, this particular group oversees foster care agencies in the state of Maryland. Very receptive. So it's interesting the dynamics of when the industry changes from that was social science to like health science, completely different personality sets. These people at DHS they wanted to know, help me, please. I could do this. Is definitely something. So I get to see both ends of the spectrum for sure.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I tell you, to see it and to see you in person is just awesome. Like I said, witnessing and like I said, watching your videos, I'm like, oh man, she's killing it. And then to see you do it in person, and I'm sitting there like, I'm right there in the room with you talking about that day when you changed that doctor's mind. I love it. So Where are you taking this? Where would you like this to go?
You know, I'll tell you a vision that I have, and I really want to be able to we call them annual retreats. I want to do VIP days with those in senior leadership and have a holistic coaching experience.
All right.
For them, with the idea of them leaving with increased skill sets around public speaking, but honestly, just a safe space for them to be themselves with no other responsibilities, time constraints, commitments.
Yeah.
But honoring themselves in that way and making that connection with other women in the room. That's a really big thing for me. So that's one. The other thing is, I have always saw money as a tool, not just to change my lifestyle, but someone else's. It's a desire of mine to send kids to college for free. And so philanthropy is a big thing for me. And so the more we grow, the more I want to give.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely another one as well. And I would love to be able to teach other people what we're doing and duplicate me in a training agency model. So I'd say those are the three. Those are the three for me.
Linnita Hosten, leadership coaching. I love it. Certificate. There we go. I love it. I love it. So what's next for you? What you got coming up?
Yeah, well, we're going to do a rollout in the new year. So you got to hang it on tight. Can't tell you everything.
We got to kick the new year off right. We got to connect with you and kick the new year off right. I like it.
For sure.
Yeah. So where can they connect with you? And for everybody that's listening, if you want to help her create that money to help students to get to school, hey, how can they connect with you?
Yes, I am on every platform. Yeah, I am the only Linnita Hosten in the world.
Got you.
So whichever platform you use, shoot me a message there. I'm most active on LinkedIn. So you can DM me there or send a private message. You can also email me at info@linnitahosten.com.
Yeah.
But you just type in Linnita, there's not too many others in the world.
You'll pop right up, right?
I'll pop right up. So yeah.
Yeah, cool. So is there anything you like to leave the audience with?
Yes, I always start with this, but I'm going to end with this today. And this is just a reminder. You are excellence. Your mind is of excellence. You're capable of excellence. You have an inner power of excellence. You have a genius that solely produces excellence. And when you get committed to your genius, you will only produce excellence. You will achieve your highest goals and desires with excellence because you're capable of excellence. And that's my excellence creed. It's actually in a poster form. And I have it here in my office. You probably can see it in the corner there. Yeah. But it's just a reminder, the words that we're saying to ourselves every day, they matter. So when I feel in the rut, I recite that back, but I say I, or I say my mind is of excellence. I'm capable of excellence.
Okay.
And so it's on SoundCloud. If you want to go listen to it, it has its own little mixtape.
Okay.
That's what I'd leave. Just be intentional about the words that you're using to speak of yourself. Yeah,
man. I'm gonna tell you what, I hate to shut this down, but I'm gonna tell you, I really love what you're doing, and I love, like I said, I'm looking forward to continuing this relationship, moving forward, because I got some plans, some ideas I'm gonna run past you here shortly. Okay. But you truly are a momentum shifter. You truly are making a change in this world and you are an example of that. What do you say? Leaders walk the walk and talk the talk. And you are definitely doing that. So I applaud you. Keep doing what you're doing. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that's our show for the week. That's it for the Momentum Shift. A show designed to get you inspired, get you moving, because we want to get results. With that, I want to thank you for joining me. My guest, Linnita Hosten. Hey, replay this, listen to it, take some notes, because I'm telling you, she's doing some great things. She's helping people out from all different levels, from students to C-suite, and she can help you too. With that, I'll talk to you next week. Take care. Because I'm somebody who believes that the largest gap an individual will face is the gap that stands between where they are now and what they could become. So the question becomes, are you willing to climb? The greatest trick the mind will ever pull is convincing you that your greatness does not exist. Mama used to say, she said, Eric, what you do in the dark will come out in the light. And she means that you reap what you sow. You get what you put in. And so you got to put the work in. Why? Because you're going to step your game up and tap into that untapped potential of yours and become the greatest person that you can possibly become. I woke up, I was about to lose everything. And so my wife was about to leave me, and that meant my 3 children were going to be gone, which really hurt me because I would fall short on a promise to my kids where I told them that I was their father. Nobody would ever be in their house taking care of them. Nobody would be responsible for them. They never had to worry about calling anybody daddy but me. Momentum shift. When you get stuck, you got to find a way to get going. And that is all about elevating your performance. You have to realize that high-level results are not products of low-level effort. So you got to step your game up. So you get stuck, you got to get yourself moving. And when you're down in the dumps, you're the only one that's going to be there. So you got to be your own hype man. What happens is when you don't realize that you have all that you ever need to create the life that you want to live, you're missing out. You're standing at the base of that mountain thinking and hoping somebody's going to save you when all you got to do is take action. Theodore Roosevelt said, he said that the credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena with their face marred in dust with sweat and blood. You got to get into the arena, claim your moment, take the opportunity to take your shot. Then when you're in that arena, think about this. I got to step my game up.
Eric's message was extremely powerful.
The power of overcoming is not just connected to you. You're rising because the people behind you are counting on you. Thank you. Thank you, Eric.
And transform your life at CEricCollier.com. That's CEricCollier.com.
Thank you for joining The Momentum Shift, a show bringing you interviews and stories of incredible people to help you get inspired, get moving, and get results to ultimately create the life-changing momentum shift that will improve your life. Join host Eric Collier, the mayor of motivation and mental quicksand expert, every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern for The Momentum Shift, the show and change you've been looking for.